Discord at people because I'm a shill at this point, but I'm happy about it because I actually like my job. Streaming master DPS VODs and team VODs.
My phone just popped off.
Please support, will, gift random people with exit lag premium key.
Hell yeah, exit lag.
Yeah, dude. I should probably put it on the this specific stream stuff, but that will be after I get used to the new overlay, because it is new.
I really like this overlay.
Yeah, it's
Sick.
Apex Esport from Nerd or Die.
Oh, nice.
I also have a link somewhere if anyone wants to buy Nerd or Die overlays that they get discounts, so that's nice.
I've got a lot of overlays from the org already, so
Yeah.
I'm set for a while.
Yeah, you should probably be pretty set.
Yeah.
Imagine having a schedule, Jesus. I'm gonna check your Discord now and probably launch up a new version of Overwatch before we get to that screen, so that people don't snipe my passwords. Not that they're very useful anyway. Actually, I could probably just use play to learn today, since I don't have any code stuck in it.
Hell yeah.
It still kind of fascinates me so I've been asked to start following up with my understanding of LOS for like more heroes, because I'm like watching even professional play and it's just not implemented, but it's such a free thing that people can do.
Yeah, once I started thinking about the whole like 3D movement and abusing LOS, I was like, oh god. How this feels a little broken.
It is a broken, right? Like it's literal. Imagine that like aimbots have a hard time like target selecting on you. It's kind of silly, right?
Yeah. Oh damn it. I'm like 300 off from getting every single avatar.
You'll get it.
I got this.
You got it for sure, dude. Now, if only I could get the password. There we go. I've also been using a new mouse for a couple of days straight for funsies, because yeah. I'm trying to. This is gonna sound ridiculous, but basically I've been asked to do an aiming or practicing genuinely real breakdown of aim as a masterclass. So I'm trying to kill my muscle memory for fun, and then I'll just show you how to build it. People how to build it really quick.
I would love that. Can I get into that masterclass?
Oh yeah, for sure. It'll be for everyone. That's sort of the plan.
I like.
Hey Dixon, haven't seen you in a while. Hey Zed, hi Wolf, nice new screen. Yes, I'm glad that people appreciate it. Yes, Muddy, you were saying?
I've had problems relearning my aim from different games. So once I jumped from CS:GO to Overwatch, I had really good aim in CS.
Oh.
I jumped onto Overwatch and then I was bronze. So learning learning how to aim again in a new engine without calculating my whole like sensitivity thing it took me like 2.5 months.
It would take a while, yeah, that's pretty normal. And yeah, the masterclass sounds great. Thank you, Dixon. I really appreciate it. But yeah, feel free to share stuff around at this point, because until I get true schoolwork, this is my actual main, if not only, source of income, and I'm pretty happy doing it. So just feel free to throw stuff around. I'll have more giveaways to incentivize that, on top of not just Exilak keys and game keys. I do have way too much gaming equipment lying around in the house. We just gave away a BenQ GSR Special Edition, which is no longer in production. And that was just for hitting 30 subs. When we hit our goals, I'll be giving out more things like mice, headphones, keyboards, keycaps. I just have a lot of stuff to do.
Headphones.
Yeah.
I need headphones. Give away headphones. specific, just to me.
Just to you. It's like vigorously taps sub. It's like
Yes, I got this. Oh no, it's telling me to gift subs.
Saki, why do heck keeps beating me in games and says Saki would not be proud I've failed? No, no, not at all. Look, like, oh no, no, no. Look. Well, it's kind of weird. There are actually a lot of scrims happening of late where I am genuinely sitting in the spectator in the not even just in a one-team spectator, but both teams, because it just so happens I apparently know enough people to be giving information in between both teams now, and it's really, really funny. I also talked to Muddy just before we opened up the stream, talking about trying to host pugs, but not just pugs with some general rule sets to keep people, being productive, but also pugs that I may set a plan A for team 1 and a plan B should it not work, and same for the other side. And I'll be casting those, and I may or may not be grabbing some good friends, maybe Dax PH, who has been doing some really, really, really hyped casting work for a little lesser known area on Overwatch, the Overwatch in the Philippines. I maybe also grab Uris, support and flex player for World Cup Singapore, to come with analysis and stuff on the side for color casting. We'll see. There's a lot of stuff I got planned in my head. But genuinely want to make sure that it actually carries out. And for any of this to work out, along with grabbing more top 500s and world-class players to come on the stream, I really need to help you guys. Like everything you guys do, just even showing up, saying hi, really, really appreciate it. Helps a lot, more than you know. Okay, so just Muddy, you've been on the stream before, but we have a couple of other people in today. Why don't you give us a quick explanation of the VODs you picked today and why you picked them?
Sorry, could you repeat that last part? There was a car really loud outside.
No, that's alright. So we have a couple of VODs that you've sent me. So like one is of ranked, I believe, and one is from somewhere else. Is that right?
Yes, one is a scrim and one is ranked. The first ranked one is me playing McCree with my scuffed aim.
Okay.
Basically just trying to position myself with the new team comp that you've spoken about.
The exciting stuff. Yes. Dorito.
And,
good map.
And I was just trying to focus on how much pressure I can place against the enemy team, as well as trying to abuse my LOS. The second map, second code I've given you is a scrim against PPS and one of our scrim partners, and I played a lot of soldier. I just had a very bad time using my ult. It was bad.
That's understandable.
I did nothing with my ult, and like positioning wise, I always try to incorporate what you talked about smart rotations and threatening areas and being like a real nuisance depending on my role in the game. So yeah, I played McCree throughout that scrim as well, and soldier.
Okay.
But yeah, the rank game, I don't know. I was a little scuffed. The lag had just made me incredibly angry at myself.
Totally fair. Okay, so like let's just set the scene, yeah? Let's open what we call in teaching, and I'll be also changing a little bit about how I do the stream as well. I'll be talking about teaching concepts on the side, because there are people actually asking me not only for Overwatch VOD reviews now, but for surprisingly coaching/teaching lessons, which is new to me. So in between the stream, I will actually explain the terms that I use, not only so that like the person that I'm working with gets an idea of what I'm actually trying to achieve, but also so that if people are more interested in that and want lessons on that as well, because I already have a couple of them booked, go ahead, I'm open to that. So generally we start with, okay, so...
could you stream in Discord too?
Oh, yes, I can. Thank you so much for a reminder. There's just so much stuff I forget. Okay. Thank you very much for reminding me. And yeah, we also have, just to make sure that we're aware of who's speaking at any point in time, We also now have the Discord overlay towards the left side, so we can realize who's interacting and when, especially since we've had some more team VOD reviews of late, and there will be one upcoming. Okay, so let's start from the beginning, right? You're gonna be playing McCree, this is ranked, and we start with the basics. So what are we learning today? That's Walt, yeah? And you might have seen this in general, like how classes are run here locally as well. So what we learned today, what are we learning today? We're gonna be learning about Cree. Yep, and this is your buddy. This is in fact no, this is pretty much a 5-stack already. Yeah. So
Yes,
in terms of general control of what your team is capable of, especially since it's a ranked game, you guys are in control. Okay. If we're gonna talk about ranked, playing it in a small region, 1109, a small region, one of the things that you will realize is not only will you bump into similar people all the time, but you will be like able to farm certain people. Either way, you are very likely to face another stack. So throwing all that out the window now onto what your team is capable of. Running Cree and Torb at the same time. From your memory, opening the schema, what does that give you guys? Especially taking note that this map Dorado, and this is the first map I suggested for you guys to try this comp, yeah?
Yeah.
Is that like, what's so special, especially in a first point?
So
what can you achieve?
One thing, I felt like it would free the
Thank you so
tanks
much for
from
the
being shield bots all the time.
Okay.
Basically, and like defending the DPS. It also freed a lot of like sight lines because a turret could cover that, and the turret can be like a venom mine basically in my aspect, and I could be more free to do my own thing on a flank. Have Tor basically enforce and have I would say like the Diva here would be the main scout as well as like covering area.
Yes.
And Vine can punish anyone who is in our area.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Okay, so like in terms of I'm just gonna go a little bit into Torb, just so that it makes a bit more sense on your end before we go into it. So like Torb is under one of those category of heroes where like the longer the fight goes on, right? So like the longer a fight goes on in terms of time, the more value Torb gets out of it, and that's just the nature of turret, right?
Yeah.
The best part about it also in between is that it sort of forces people to contest it, similar to almost like a Widow, right?
Yep.
Where like you either contest Torb or the turret itself because of that long-term value. In terms of like being an addition of a team, it also adds a decent amount of shield break, like a surprisingly decent amount, because of the way he can hold angles and the like, and makes flankers kind of useless. Your tanks in this composition will not be necessary. They will need to like contest on occasion. You're not playing for actual aggression per se. Okay, it'll be like there's a word for this that's much better. Sorry, dysnomia. A controlled amount of pressure into your opponent. You don't have Lucio, and even if you did, the way this works out is going to be like map control. The pressure that you're going to pull onto your opponent, especially as long as you have verticality and angles and like long, huge distance, and you don't want to go past the point of no return. So like going past chokes as a team for this lineup, generally going to be a no-no. Okay, unless you're really trying to force that out from your opponent for some reason, just for like a moment, just get an extra pick or something. So like back to you. So you're telling me like the first half of a round you were like riddled with ping issues, right? So like that.
The second half was complete. Like at the end of this round, my ping was jumping to like 700.
I see.
Like 100, 2000. It was bad.
Okay, cool. Good check. And for reference on the people in the chat that don't know, Muddyduck is peak 3.8. So some of the things I'll be pointing out to him will be less on fundamentals, and a lot of it will be, to some people, maybe more nitpicky, but we're trying to optimize things.
Yeah.
Okay.
My aim scuffed. Oh no.
Well, as usual, we'll let it play out until the... Whoa, wow, that sudden jump. We'll let it play out until like until pretty much you're deaf, and then we'll talk about attention and the like. There's Anfo, the tracer enthusiast of OC, of Diamond OC. And who is that? It's Viantis. Okay, very interesting. So we've left the enforcing, or at least like the frontline pressure towards the main combo. You have a lot of room. You have like so much room to work with, and that's kind of like really fun for you. A little excessive, but you gotta kill Advo for fun.
Yeah. I was like, you know what? I can't aim.
Thank you so much
Might
for the
as well
follow,
use
Peter
it.
Griffin. Still down to 2 minutes. Controlling in between, you're checking. Nice. Hopefully, no hook. Lots of pressure, fun rotations on the side. Okay. Normally I would let this go on until you die, but there's like enough stuff going on that I can start commenting on general efficiency. Okay, so let's jump back about, yeah, almost 2 minutes. And think about the opposing composition. So we've got Mercy, we've got Mercy, Tracer, McCree, Hog, Brig. Okay, so for all of his screams like lack of mobility, right? And the only outlier in that part is going to be the Tracer. So this game turns into muddy tower defense, right? And everyone loves everyone loves DPS tower defense because you just get to make your opponents cry, and they have to repeat themselves constantly until they quit the game. Your job in between, right? You were shooting into the shield at the start, and normally, what are we? So let's assume that is the best play for some reason, right? When do we try to shoot shields? What's the point of shooting shields usually?
When there are opponents behind it that I'm trying to aim for.
That's true.
And shield break.
And shield break, there we go. So like shield break is the only main reason we're going to be hitting shield for a minute. And hitting the shield isn't completely pointless, because if they do manage to make it all the way, when your Ryan drops, he'll have less shield during the actual fight. That's pretty good anyway, yep. So if we're playing tower defense on the way there though, the shield is like the lowest priority, okay? Shield's like absolutely the lowest priority, unless you guys, for some reason, feel that when you guys engage, you're unconfident that even if you had like both sides same shield, you're gonna lose the fight. Now that shouldn't be the case because of looking at the opponent's DPS. So you see Tracer and you see McCree. Neither of these give chunkiness, for a more fun term, when you guys actually do an engage. The Brig does that. The Hog is more threatening than actually giving them like some actual extra pressure, and it's not really sustained. I'm trying to find the word, but since it's early morning, I just can't find it right now. Point being is that it will give them like more to work with, right, during the actual engage. So this is mixed. So what does this mean?
Yeah.
This means that your job, as long as you exist, is to make as many of them useless and straight up just waste the amount of times that they have to reset and get all the way back to this choke point again. So you want this tower defense to reset again and again and again and again, especially as this rank, tilt them, take their SR, click them avoid on the people that you can farm, and then go for it again. Yes, you can actually do that. Yes, that's easy SR. Should you really be doing that morally? I don't care. I'll just leave that as an option for you for fun. So
done it before.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So it's a small like small populated region, so it's just easy SR. Anyway, back onto you. Who can contest you right now? Right, from your high ground that you can think of?
No one.
Okay. Now, if someone invested resources and time, who could possibly attempt to get to you?
Tracer and I guess Roadhog as well.
Yeah, that's right. So, in other words, there's no reason for you to ever die up here, which you don't, right? And that was good of you, and you're starting to use a little bit of cover. You can use a little more hard cover in terms of optimization, but you can also back up more to use this floor as cover. So like when you're shooting into them, you only have like one pixel sticking out in comparison, while they're just moving around and it's free kills. So now we're gonna look at windows. Okay, so I talk about this all the time when I talk about like DPS rotations in general, right? So windows, what do I mean by windows? Windows is like an opportunity, the window opens, there's a free frag here, and then it's timed. And as a DPS player, or as someone like trying to find an opportunity, even like as an off tank, maybe when you're playing Hog, these windows are very short, but you have to identify them. And in the case of rank, they happen all the time because people don't know how to walk. Walking is hard. People are going to be in the open for those small windows, and you need to pick those apart when they happen. So look at the starting bit. There's some like shots into shield, fair enough. And now there's like a small window here where you can bug the Mercy, okay? Whenever you want to shoot at a shield, even if you're shooting at the shield before, what did we talk about in the last lesson? We shoot, where do we aim the crosshair?
Yeah. We aim the crosshair at the person behind the shield, not the actual Reinhardt.
Exactly, there we go.
So someone I can kill.
You're aiming at the McCree and Bobo shots, that was pretty good. Generally, when we do a roll, right, and it's not to actually do movement or to increase our, it's going to be to increase our DPS, yeah? So if we're going to be rolling at all, we want to be able to shoot immediately after the roll. Otherwise, there's no point rolling and being out of LOS before taking a shot. You might as well just do a normal reload. Okay, good. It's a very safe reload, and you're out of LOS during a reload. You try to follow up the Mercy. Like how you're using the cover. I have no idea how that like glitched out, but it was pretty funny.
That's my ping.
That is unfortunate, and it is what it is.
Yeah, this is when my ping's like 700.
Okay. Whenever an opponent, right, has no idea where you are, don't bother strafing. Rule 1, just take an easy shot, laugh at them, and watch them complain in the chat. It's like, and also in general out here, your strafes, if you're not strafing. Okay, so we already talked about jiggle peeking, yeah? And there's a couple of things that jiggle peeking does other than just make you safe. It actually makes it easier for you to aim, because you told me you have CSGO experience, yes? So let's say like, you know an enemy, because they're not strafing, right? They're moving in pretty standard patterns to get across, yeah? So when you jiggle peek, one of the things it does for you subconsciously is also just line up your crosshair where you know the enemy is behind the wall. Right, and that would simplify things regardless of how good your aim is. Because you're missing like some shots here, which I know from your soul, you're telling me you wish you got them for like easier, earlier picks, but they're just not happening for a minute.
My aim in this match was just like not there. I was like tired. It was 12 a.m.
Yeah, it's like you're trying really hard to track that. So now that Mercy is being unpredictable, right? And the reason being is obviously, you know, she hears gunfire, but on top of that, you see how this like left strafe movement. You need to learn, and we'll go for this in the aiming masterclass. You also need to learn how to counteract your own strafe with your aim, and this is why movement patterns, which you memorize, is important. Because if you memorize a movement pattern, that means you can memorize the muscle memory for said movement pattern. It's not a band-aid; it's actually a strategy. Okay.
Yeah, I know what you mean by this, because I do it a lot with Widow, where sometimes I don't need to move my mouth, I just walk left or right, and that usually simplifies my flicks, if that makes sense.
It would do, yeah. When a fight like this breaks out, and your team has that many kills, it's really important for you to actually check behind. Like, assuming you don't have crazy headphones and you don't actually need super crazy headphones. I'll go into a guide about that at some point, talking about audio for like gaming, but that'll be another time.
Okay.
But so like that check is important because you want people on the way to have a problem. As a DPS, right, who is, you know, especially in a position that you are, it is your job not only to like make the judgment call that says this fight's going to be won no matter what happens, but people might be coming back and trying to change that, whether it's with ultimates or whether they want to just like slow things down so that they can suddenly sustain and have a bigger, longer fight. Yeah, it's more important to handle those people coming back from respawn, just like playing tower defense again in that example, than just finishing people that are directly in the fight. That's going to be down to judgment. And if you're looking at what's left there, considering you already took part in it, I'm pretty sure you know what happens next. Fun, High Noon. It's ranked. You're having fun. I'll let it slide. Okay, so You see what I mean, right? Where like
Yes.
if just moments ago, technically speaking, that meant that these two are in the open,
Yeah.
you know, and it's not even if that Ryan was positioned there where it could be shielding himself. If you're shooting at him, he's not going to walk, is he?
Yep.
You want them to slow down. You want them to doubt themselves. Okay, so this is DPS Mind Game 101. You need to start picking up their habits, right? So Anfo, I'll leave that as the VOD goes on, and you're gonna tell me how he engages and where he plays. But I'm gonna tell you what's happening with that Kree. So that Kree is very, very often dueling you in the open, which is what you used to do. Yeah?
Yeah.
Very punishable, because he's not doing it based on the Ryan at all. He's just doing it to sort of try and hit you. Otherwise, if he was trying to play with the Ryan, he wouldn't be strafing, would he?
Yes.
So that's something you can take advantage of, for sure. I'm glad that you're trying to play safe to get that like little bit of extra heal. Good punish. Fun rotation, and your team like popped. Abnormal, but really good. Nice. If you ever find yourself in a situation where you just have an enemy that just has that much health and it's crazy, we already know that like a flashbang can like technically get you 2 headshots. Yeah?
Yes.
But if you're really, really, really spicy about it, you can actually M1 during your flashbang and you end up with 3 headshots.
Sorry. You can animation cancel the flashbang with your...
With your shot? Yeah, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna shoot and flash at the same time. And then go for like 2 more shots.
Okay.
It puts people on edge. I can't imagine why. Apparently they don't like it.
Yeah, I'll look out for that.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's something I rarely see people do at all. But like it's something that I've enjoyed on my own quite a lot. Okay, so same deal here. Good target priority. Unnecessarily like in the open. This is once again optimization, because like a hook can come through, a basic shot can come through. Just considering that you're strafing unnecessarily anyway, just like calm down on that.
Yeah, this Tracer was constantly trying to flank, and it was
annoying, right?
It wasn't really annoying. It was very predictable. It was just, I didn't get the timing right. Like I wasn't used to her timing.
Sure.
So
okay, so
it was different. So
totally fair. Now I'm gonna like go back slightly and explain some habits that the opposing tracer has. I'd like you to be in your ranked games, but when you play like scrims and tournaments, I want you to be a little more careful with. Okay, so like generally, a lot of tracers have this pretty bad habit of like shooting for like their whole clip, which is about 2-ish seconds. Yeah.
Yes.
And don't forget, what's important about killing a tracer is not firing as many shots as possible. There's a TTK. Okay, so time to kill. Have you heard this term before in other games?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so like there is a set amount of time where she can attack you and you're gone. If you know this time, yeah, approximately, you're not gonna like go crazy with your shots and shoot every second, because as long as she dies before this comes in, anything she does doesn't matter. This lets you relax a bit, like for a mental understanding for some people. On top of that, when 2 other things extra for like dueling tracers is that there are places that you can throw flash either mid blink or at end of blink. So there's just a couple of options. Because honestly, this is a terrible place for the tracer to be dueling you, to be frank. Because anywhere she blinks, there's no hard cover at all, unless she drops or she's smart enough to do a half jump and blink. A half jump and blink is really good because at the end of the blink, she's still moving and X and Y axis, and not enough tracers do that. So I don't see her doing that. During the blink animation, there's like a half spot in between where you can see, if you like check in a custom game, there's a blue spot. If anything hits her in that area, even during the blink, she will be affected by it. This can be anything from headshots to even a flashbang. So that's something worth doing if you're worried about like not hitting it at the right timing at where she's gonna get to. Memorizing that distance right? Because it's not a 10-meter blink, it's about like 7 point something that I can't remember right now from the top of my head. Means that you can see if she's going to blink at all, it's going to be right in front of you. And if she blinks to the side, you can make some like approximate guesses as well, which works out pretty well for you. The habits I'm noticing so far as Tracer though, is that generally she's going to be doing that while reloading.
Yep, she was spending a lot of time blinking after she had reloaded. So I guess she was waiting and doing her 80-80 bullshit. So like after she reloads, she blinks. It was every single time. And when I like sort of got used to that, I like her stress was not that good, so I could get some shots in.
Fair enough. Oh, died with turret on the way out, dude. You wasted everything from like recall to blinks, and then like, oh, I forgot one more thing that's pretty important. You took the fight pretty okay, but I'm not complaining about hard cover for you against the Tracer, but to the actual opening of like the opponent's
yeah, the 3D
choke.
movement. I was thinking about that too. One thing I noticed when I was fighting that Tracer is when that fight broke out with the front line, I think the comms were that they were yeah, that like they were backing up. So then I was immediately like, okay, I can't be there anymore, or
Fair enough.
I can't be showing myself on that backside.
Okay, that's a little bit on you. Okay, so assuming that your Corsair on top is the general enforcing role, yeah? When we already talked about in other maps, especially when we did like VODs on Tracer specific, how like every part of a map is designed to have a standard choke point and a route that like a flank route. Like it's just the nature of it. So when you're, especially since you're transitioning between like one phase to another, it's really important for like you to not only give yourself vision but like count threats. So once you're like on the way here, what you want to know all the time, what other than like the main choke point and how that's covered, is each flank route, is it clear? Almost like a SWAT team sort of thing. Yeah. So RV is clear, and if they're not. If they are, good. If they're not, and you don't, and someone hasn't checked, do a quick check while maintaining your job, because your job at this point is pretty easy. You just need to put pressure through choke, right? And you can do that just by walking backwards and still having vision to these areas. Because what you saw earlier in your POV was that people moved towards the side here, and it wasn't just like a half-health Tracer or something. It was a hog. Big priority. Not even just in terms of like letting your team know that, but realize that there's one-shot potential and something that could be in the back that causes chaos since the opposing team is pushing in through this choke right now.
Yeah, so I just need to be more attentive to the flanks. I see.
You need to, to like simplify things, you don't make it go like, I must remember every single bit of information. No, because that's silly. But we simplify it, remember, okay, this phase is done, what's my job for the next phase, right? And then if you simplify like, okay, that's the check, now we fight. And then you hold and then hold, check, hold, check, hold, check. Those sort of rotations in your head, especially for like a lot of esport players right now that are like currently suffering from ADHD, it's much more easier that way, because at least you have a mental loop to keep going and instead of phasing out. It's like a routine, really. Okay, next plot.
I was a little lost here on the second part.
Yeah, second part would be difficult.
It just felt like no matter how much pressure you could like push, it just depended on our positioning, I guess. Like
Okay.
Our general positioning. This was dumb. This is so dumb. I don't know what was going through my brain. This is old Muddy being like, hey, I can colonize everything.
Yeah.
Look at me. Yeah.
It's a little tough, right?
Yeah.
And we got the hog on flank too.
Yeah.
Now remember, when it comes to like hard flankers and that sort of thing as well, killing them obviously is nice, but as long as you pacify them and make them useless for like a vast majority of it before you can get value, that's even better than getting a kill on them, to be honest. because if they keep trying this and they keep doing it on their own, especially in how people tend to play ranked that way, that means you are essentially going to be fighting a 6v5 all the time. So like a lot of people have a tendency to just chase something, especially say, oh no, we have got one Widow. I mean, they just dedicate their entire team to chasing one Widow for the rest of the game. It's pretty silly.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see here. Where did you go?
I was escorting our Ana to the high ground, and here I felt a little dumb because Diva and Soldier was already on top, and that's basically me not checking, and there wasn't like too much communication there.
Okay.
On that.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Make sure Ana was like safe there. But,
okay. Remember, fear versus respect. Yeah. So like the thing is, I get that helping the Ana get to a place is one thing, but you need to know from what. I would assume that you'd be thinking Tracer. But,
yeah, the Tracer.
Yeah, but that can be tracked. That's more important to be tracked. So you already know that the Roadhog is going to be doing his thing. You know that the Soldier's top, and like when you take the fight earlier, on occasion you heard or saw the Tracer. Yes. So that would be, you should be able to trust the Ana to move up unless you know that a Tracer has gotten past the flank, and maybe that was just missed in the general like chaos of the fight. But it's important to act differently, because what you have now is that since you have Soldier top high ground, he's going to be causing pressure, abusing high ground, that sort of thing. The bulk, that's the word I was looking for earlier. I was trying to talk about Roadhog being a part of it. The bulk of your team is like way lower now. If Wood and Xiajin like try to hard hold this corner, the chance of them being punished is super high right now. Okay, because the opposing side has got like, they've got ults, they've got shield pressure, and they've got a Discord, right? So they need to, one of two things need to happen. Either you stay for longer and try to get as much value, and you use hard cover so that you don't make your tanks use resources while you're trying to punish people and make them back off and make it somewhat equal. Or while you rotate, they start realizing, okay, we either give up a little bit of ground, or we play in a way that just doesn't put us in a worse position for a few seconds that you rotate. And that's to be communicated. Because like you see how as this rotation happens, they back up, but if this is not communicated, so they back up late, yeah? Yeah. Like they lose way more ground. It looks like you get a good punish though, and wait a minute! Wait a minute! Wait a minute. Thank you so much for the... Oh, that's a sub from Brooke as a gift from Wood member. Super appreciate it, my man. Big drop. Ooh. Ooh. Nice cancel. Oh, a little excited now. A little excited now. Good lord. Yeah, let's not talk about that aim. No, it's fine. Like it's literally a tactic for tracers too. Like if you know there's a time where you're gonna be stunned and you actually like can't avoid it, you deliberately hop so it messes the hitbox. Or you like hop in advance. So moving up. So top, I guess we're like really trying to get rid of this guy now. Good job. Okay. This is slightly awkward. So there's no way you're going to get back to your lineup in time after doing this big flank. I'm also slightly not a fan of the fact that when you went for this, you kind of took this, like both you and the Soldier went at the same time. It does need to be a call for the tanks to either like back up, but usually that's not going to work out for them. So what happens instead, funnily enough, is they sort of int into the opponent, but not int to like die quickly, but like force timeout from your opponent. And it's somewhat possible because your Ryan has Shatter. One of the things that could be done is to sort of even like the thing is very abusable of the opposing side. Look at this gap between like the Ryan and the rest of it. If they're not going to attempt to punish this Ryan, which they kind of can't because it's just those two, and a lot of pressure will come in, especially from like the Tracer and the like, it does make sense for like Wood to either play angled on the cart so that he can shatter through it, or even back up to, first of all, a better position, because the only possible reason I can see Wood standing here is because the cart's close, and this is bad because there's like no real hard cover. Or he can even give space Ivor towards back naturally to like, so some more time will stall out, you see, because their Ryan will still try to stick to Vakat. He's not really going to move up that far, and that stalls for time for you guys to make a play. Or you could even play towards Garden. Any sort of angle that confuses the opponent or gets a possible way for him to pull the Shatter out. He doesn't need to kill the Shatter, he just needs to give Impact time so that you can get value before your flank. This is way more easier when it's communicated, but it also can be read from like your team in general. So if that scenario were to happen, especially since you like end up losing your soldier, it is fair to even invest nano, but not early, like probably in between the shatter attempt or like losing huge chunks of health, because then you stall for even more time, and nano sustains like really well that way.
Yeah.
You live to give. You gifted to being kind for all your scuffed play. Tilted you to the
Heroes
brig.
communicating that would you're alone, you're almost alone, and I also communicated like that I'm back.
Okay.
You know.
So let's talk about comms, especially in like the case of ranked where we have stuff that we can't control, right? Instead of saying things like "would you're alone," which is true, right? Factually speaking, that is somewhat of a case, but it's not very useful to the like vision of the main tank, right? So if you're going for a play and he's going to be alone for a bit, you're going to call him either like, okay, Wood, you either need to sustain,
yep,
or stall. Okay? So like there's actually a really big difference between the two, because they both sound like where both of them are just waiting for time, right? So sustain means prioritize not dying. Okay? And he can even, that which means he's allowed to do things, you know, like give space, back up, not do the objective for small periods of time, anything that lets him live longer. Stall is different. Stall implies that you gotta make a half play, if possible, right? And it could mean not dying, or it could mean dying. So when you stall, you can do things like, you know, like I mentioned earlier, shatter, things that make your opponent take more time to get things done, and you may die in the process. But if he realizes that he can't do that, he doesn't have the tools to do that, then he's going to end up falling back to sustaining, but making sure he does it as much as possible while doing the objective. And like these lines, like coming from you, will give him clarity because he's busy enough as is, you know?
Yep.
This is more in context of ranked. You can do it in scrims and stuff, but like we'll probably go into more like detailed specifics, because obviously this is very contextual. For ranked, it's like perfectly fine.
See right there, I could have used the last one stun.
Yeah.
Killed both.
Definitely. I think that past the first defense though, the general abuse of LOS, jiggle peeking and the like is starting to flow away a bit.
Yeah.
Like over time, and that's very normal.
I guess I didn't really know where to be or exist to create enough pressure for both the main tank and like stop
Okay.
the hog.
I'm gonna give you another big brain concept then.
Okay.
So, if you're playing Roadhog, yeah, and you want to be the most tilting Roadhog in existence, you only want to land hooks at the edge, like the perfect hook. Yeah. So, but you also want to take 0 damage all the time, just because you want to tilt people that much and it's funny. Yeah. Now, think about the map using this circle, and you're McCree now. Okay, so it's not Hog, you're McCree. So we're gonna be aiming for like the best possible range we can. We're also gonna be, you see, like even just hitting this Ryan, for example, yeah, you would like move up. I probably bring stat banana, that'll be way easier. Click visualize. Move to McCree. Give opposing side of Ryan. Okay. Now, you, as the Ryan puts a corner, you would exist for small periods of time, taking shots at him. And as he moves away, because you want to keep that line of sight to keep taking shots, you'd stop moving up, you see? and this line, you want to keep it as long as possible for those periods in between. If you're reloading, you're going to break it. If you're not, you're going to be back into it, and you're going to constantly exist. It's almost as if like you're like the old school Symmetra, except you do things from across the flipping map, and it frustrates people to no end. And what you'll notice happening, and I'm going to put a DPS example, is that, especially since vast majority, like I told you, most players don't know how to walk. I mean it when I say that. It's like as if every time, how many times have you heard this complaint? Dude, this guy hits all his shots. Or even, dude, I can't even peek him. Right?
Yeah.
Because they're not prioritizing how long they exist in front of the opponent's face. Whereas on your end, if they show up, they're gonna take damage, period. And you get to control how much, right? Because unless the opponent is aware of this and doing this deliberately themselves, they actually can't see it.
Okay, it like clicked. It finally, it clicked for me just as you were talking about it, like DPS perspective. I was like, okay.
And like, funnily enough, this is how you beat aimbots in Korea as well, right? Because
Yep.
the amount of time you're exposed is so minute. They literally have to hotkey your character in like their heap scanner or whatever. And even if they do, you can be even smarter than this, which you can implement in normal play, by the way. So like moments in which they are reloading or they're taking a shot, that's when you fire.
Yes.
Right. So like especially if like it's a widow, right? You literally shoot when you hear their shot go through. And even an aimbot can't stop you that way because they're shooting at something else. It's great.
Yeah. So it's like I'm managing my LOS
Mm-hmm.
to control their movement.
Exactly. And like when you realize, I always pull people away from aim because aim, right? And especially once we get to aim masterclass, aim should be like unconscious, and like almost as if you are playing an actual MOBA. Hey, look, if I exist, I'm good. They'll get shot for head, right? Mm-hmm. And what you should be consciously focusing on is your position on the map instead. And this is why mechanics is important to grind out early, but as you get better and better, you need to pull away from it mentally and just accept what your aim is at on a certain day, run with it, don't ever think about it again, focus on the other parts in your own time outside of a game, then you grind aim.
Yes.
Just letting you know, we did start at about 11:09. It's 11:45 right now. If you want me to jump to a certain part so that we have enough time to cover the scrim one, now's a good time.
Yeah, basically you've covered nearly everything that's already happened.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of this game just involves me, like, doing the same mistakes. Not really same mistakes, it's just not covering the same LOS. Yeah, or like you've covered everything is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. That's good.
Like the third point in Dorado is more elevated. There's a lot more elevated positioning there. One thing I didn't
Thank
really
you so much for the bits. Yo, hi Coney.
understand.
Didn't understand?
So like this is just a quick question. We don't need to go through it. It's like I as McCree, when I'm facing a McCree, Roadhog, or anyone on the high ground, I know my high ground value is so much better than being behind a shield or and stuff. You've also talked about how like the general map is just better than any shield, right? And especially being like where you've put it right now, right? That's usually where a McCree would stand.
Yeah.
If I'm getting flanked on the left side by
which one's you at the minute? Red or blue?
I'm the blue. I'm the blue.
Okay, you're the blue. Okay.
All right. So if I like a Roadhog, Tracer, who knows, like a Genji or something like that, Doomfist is coming around the left side and flanking, I want to know if it is viable for me to drop straight away, taking 0 damage, and then backing up to the staircase. So this is just a pathing issue, like the staircase, and like contesting them from there because I have more more cover here than I do in the open there. And pressuring them off that way.
This is a very good question. I get asked this a lot, actually. Okay, so using the concept I mentioned earlier, right? Even before the drop, as you only want to drop if it's absolutely necessary, right? You're gonna use your judgment, and either way, no matter which one you decide, you can't die, obviously. Yeah.
Yes.
So that would mean that, let's say the Roadhog hook goes about that far, yeah? And obviously as he moves up, that circle is gonna get closer and closer to you. Until that circle actually gets to you and hits you on the edge, you're actually not in danger. You're not. You see? So you want to maintain as long as possible. And what happens is, you're playing tower defense again, right? You started like the clock going, hey, you gotta play, well, let's play a game. Let's play a game. Who wants to be king of the hill? Either you'll fall down or I will. You're gonna throw all this, you're gonna start aiming, you're gonna use some strafing in between, right? And while you're doing this, by the way, you're not even gonna fully focus on this guy. You're gonna only focus on him when you have nothing else to shoot for the main choke. This is your main job, this is your priority. Yeah? You wanna play tower defense for here. But as this hog goes up to you, if there's nothing to shoot in between, you're literally gonna target swap onto this hog and waste his resources and make him doubt himself to wonder, wait, can I actually walk up to this McCree? Depending on how it goes, it might even be possible that the hog like goes like really somewhat close and then goes, wait, I actually can't make it all the way. Or like he even like on the way out, he ends up using E early, which would be a mistake, by the way, obviously. And then he tries it again and he goes, wait, I have nothing in between, and he backs up again. And what happens if you never dropped? And you've maintained your job this entire time. But if you do have to drop, so like you're doing your main job, whatever, doesn't waste enough resources, you realize, wait, he's in hook range, drop, okay, fair enough. Should you be like reclimbing to contest him? You can, but no matter what you decide to do, whether it's take the main fight first, if your goal at any point is to ever head up to this guy, remember to waste his resources on the way to him. So like even though he's the one playing tower defense now, for you, your job is to make it, the closer you get to him, the harder it is for him to stay up high ground. The tables are turned. Having this understanding, you know? And then he might end up dropping. It's not even about getting the kill. So like on the way up the staircase, you're gonna start firing at him, assuming this is your goal, right? And you're gonna watch when he uses E, watch when he uses hook, then you're gonna aggress, and he may end up dropping and you're back up on top again. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes a lot of sense.
Heck yeah.
So it's like I need to manage. So I need to make sure to pull out as much resources from them while I am like staying alive.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's Monopoly.
Yeah, it's, you want to bankrupt people and watch them cry. So like, and it's super important, and this is kind of why like DPS players require fast decision making, because if you're good at this, not only will you be managing this as just part of your standard routine, you're going to be doing your main job of specific to your hero at the same time. But when you realize that that's all part and parcel, it actually simplifies it, right? Because that just all it means in practice means I'm shooting at the choke, and when I'm walking around, I'm going to shoot at people walking up to me, and then drop late. When I'm walking up to people, I'm gonna time stuff and shoot him until he drops, and I do this all over again. See how much simplified that is to understand? It's a lot less panicky.
Yes, I like that. That was good. I never thought about. Well, it didn't occur to me to think about it that way. I guess I've subconsciously done it before.
Yes, you have.
Just I haven't really understood what I've been doing.
Yeah, well, that's my job. I break things down, so it's good.
Yeah. So I think the rest of this is just me.
Where's my iPad? Good question.
It's me just lagging out,
Okay.
being turned into spaghetti by the internet.
Unfortunate.
We can move on to the PP Ascent scrim now, if you'd like.
All right, let's do that, and we'll have about 20-ish minutes to get it done, which is good. And I think I'm getting messaged by my folks, so just give me 1 second. They're outside and they're being nice, and they don't want to disturb me midway. You just lesson finishes in 20 min, then come out shortly, and then we can go with the cold ones team VOD after that one. Where's the iPad? The iPad belongs to my folks, so I don't have it for a minute. I have the tablet with me in front of me, but plugging it in glitches the computer at the moment. So I won't be doing that. I'm not quite sure when it started happening, but it has, and it's been a bit silly. Where is your second VOD? Give me one moment. So this is Li Jiang, King of a Hill. Always fun.
Yes.
Paku, what the heck? Don't worry, my writing is beautiful. Thank you very much. It's pretty funny. I remember like, I wish the schools would open so I can work in schools again. To be honest, the kids, like I always get a comment on the handwriting of like the primary school kids because it's better than mine. It's like this little last. I got a box full of like really cute thank you letters, but in like in my room right now. You should see their handwriting. It's beautiful.
It's like amazing. I used to do calligraphy, so
wow.
I'm also ambidextrous. So
that is impressive.
Both my hands. It feels odd when people say I can only write with my right hand. Oh I can only write with my left, and I'm like, okay.
Understandable. Okay, soldier. Okay, I love this. So soldier with Moira Lucio, Reinzar, and a Doomfist. Fair enough. Okay, so I've already given you a couple of new concepts earlier, and I completely forgot like to put the Wilf, but I'll do that like next VOD properly. Anyway, so what's different about soldier? Tell me what's special about soldier. Okay, so you've done a lot of Kree, and I dare say you're actually pretty good at it, and you're implementing some like higher level LOS concepts to it now. But what's different about soldier? What's the main difference?
He's like Kree, but he's fast, and he's got a unique ability, which is his rockets, which is arguably one of the best abilities on like all the DPS. He just goes bam, and then you're dead.
Right. So that's like a 120 direct, right?
Yes.
It's insane. It's like really good, and the cooldown is low, and it's even lower now. Yeah.
Yes. And also, great way to move around the map.
Yes. Now there's a couple of things that like come with him being fast as well. So he's one of a few heroes that manipulates his hitbox like abnormally. Like it's kind of crazy actually. And like he has a heal station, which is not only like, because it's not very often used as a team supporting thing, though it can. You can do some really cheesy stuff like even a nade heal and that sort of thing.
But like a mini trans.
Yeah, like a mini transcendence, like budget transcendence. But the best part about it, on top of the fact that it's a dueling tool, almost, yeah. And it stalls for time. Anything that stalls for time is generally good in this game. Your weapon is not burst fire. Okay? So how you like engage in that sort of thing, if we apply that concept earlier about like playing through corners of the map and how you expose yourself at all, right? You're gonna be timing it more. And when you're doing that as McCree, it's sort of harder to imagine. That concept I explained earlier of like exposing yourself to do damage and get pressure. Soldier is going to be sort of easier to understand because you get to see the effects like the entire time.
Yeah. I did that a lot more with just how I was engaging against the Hanzo here. Because he was like the biggest threat in their team. That was like, in my opinion, could
Pepe Jam. Hello.
That could like just ruin us basically. So I would always just keep pressuring out. I didn't need to kill him. This was bad on my end.
And why is that?
The timing, it was all timing here. It wasn't my positioning was pretty bad. I was way too close to my tanks. I didn't see that they were just gonna speed through onto us. And I didn't like I don't know. I just didn't see it, and I paid the price of dying there.
Okay.
I also tried to maintain my relative, like, you did this before, like those arrows of damage coming up from the team. I tried not to be in the same direction as Doomfist when it came to like the relative team fights. And I tried to always maintain my pathing in certain areas. My biggest concern with Soldier was usually like my ultimates. and how to manage that with the team.
Mm.
Like, it was bad.
Okay.
I just didn't know what the hell I was doing.
No, that's
I
totally
pressed
fair.
Q and I was like, well, what the heck?
Okay, so let's talk about the alt first. Let's talk about the alt because it's something that people actually misunderstand very often. Okay, so what is the alt? What is it exactly? Tell me about it.
It's aimbot. You turn it on and you pew pew, and it automatically reloads your gun faster.
Mm-hmm.
It shoots at the same speed as you normally would,
Yeah.
except this time it seeks and hits every shot.
Okay, so about damage, like how good is it, honestly speaking, right?
Honestly, it's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad,
It's a
right?
very bad damage dealer. Like, if you get nanoed and the enemy team has nowhere to hide, sure, you're gonna get a 6k, but it's like, you can do the same thing without needing to press Q.
Yeah. So what you're telling me is that like in terms of actual damage potential overall, it's not great, and it does
No.
one person at a time, and if you don't use it properly, you can't. If you're like randomly swapping targets, the damage becomes even more useless. You essentially help the opposing team build ult. And another thing that it does share similar to McCree is that for it to get value every second, you actually need to be in.
LOS.
Exactly. All of these things scream generally bad for a hit scan squishy, right? So it makes sense to try to attempt to go for kills with it, but knowing that this is not really the best or easy situation to create, rather than forcing this situation to happen, what happens a lot in pro play is that especially in the middle of fights, and we kind of don't know which way it's gonna go, or team needs a little bit more time. The soldier alt can be used in between. Okay, so if you're not going to get picks on the side, or not just 1-2 like very special ones, if you're positioned really, really, really well, you can use it in between fights, and so it slows down. It slows everything down. It might buy your team enough time to like get another ultimate, or cycle an ultimate, or just enough to sustain and then like properly engage. Using it
Yep.
as an engage tool in general doesn't work because people are usually smart enough, especially in a scrim, to go, hey, that's a visor, let's not walk in a straight line.
Exactly.
Yeah? So
Yeah.
Okay, so now applying that concept we said about earlier about true LOS and value. Yeah? Because like I've seen even contenders teams of late that they just don't abuse this enough. And I just found it fascinating, really. So where are you standing, right? So you've done a little bit of spam into the shield,
Yeah.
and then you fire this rocket, and then you haven't reloaded, and you essentially don't reload until you get here.
Yeah.
Let's watch your value. So it was value, now it's 0, 0, 0, and then now maybe you reload and you're gonna start having value. Yep. So why don't you tell me about that? Is that actually a big problem, and or is that about
No,
pretty much the same?
I would say that like the value between reloads
Mhm.
it's not really a big problem here.
Mhm.
It was more communication on what we were going to do, because I thought when Wood said it's not valuable to go left,
Mhm.
I was a little confused if he meant left behind the point, or if I should like be in the garden or the market area here and play on the opposite side, the right side. If I understood that we were going to push through the main here and make first contact straight away,
Mhm.
I would not be positioned here at all.
Okay.
I would be inside the market area where the Hanzo is, but like on my side.
Okay,
basically.
so like through here. Okay, no, I think that makes sense. I think that makes sense. So about soldier, what's one of them? We already talked about it. Like what makes them unique? One of them is just legs. So
Yeah.
what ends up happening is that even if you were in the core of your team, you don't actually like enforce very strongly because that's sort of a nature of soldier. It needs a bit more time. He's a tactician, yeah, where like your value. You need a time when you can get like huge amounts of value, and you need more time than others because you're not a burst damage hero. So like I actually liked your initial positioning, to be honest. I agree that if you head further off, you would also gain more value, because what would happen is that since your team is playing in center here, which is a bit difficult in general, but very good for Doom. So anyone who walks in here is gonna like feed to the Doom, right?
Yep.
If you went with your original plan, you definitely would have not only created a crossfire, but you also would like force the Hanzo to give some attention to you. Whether it's going to turn into a duel or not will depend on the Hanzo's judgment, but this will force attention for them for sure, especially because they're running a Zarya instead of a Diva.
Yes.
So I would say original judgment would have been pretty good.
I noticed that. I saw the Zarya out on the enemy team, and I was like, yep, I can have more space than usual. Be more abusive with my LOS. I did do that at the end of these points, where I did abuse the crossfire and LOS in that sense.
Okay.
The only like other than how to create LOS, I guess, for my visor is what I like really wanted to know.
How to create space for your visor, that's what you wanted to know. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It feels like a useless ability.
It kind of is. It kind of is, honestly speaking, right? Like it does do some good things, like force out ultimates on occasion, but that's generally under certain special conditions. So one of them is obviously you're at a like fairly distanced off angle, right? And then you can force it because your team is engaging into them. And then at this point, when you're visoring, your team kind of needs to hard engage depending on how it goes. Optimally, you're using it sort of when the opposing team is already engaged first into some, like for example in here, that would be a decent time because they now have to spin around.
Yes, I was thinking that too. Like if they have already committed a like bubble and they've already committed amp, and then they're on their retreat or they're pushing through pretty hard, I could catch them off on an angle with my visor and pressure down like squishy.
Okay, let's go to your third person view and try to implement what we talked about earlier about like overarching DPS value.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, notice the distance in which you're taking it and who you're actually shooting at. Right? So what's happening here is that on top of distance maintenance for like what is your effective range, that's not really being done because you're playing like really close to this cover. Yeah? And that may be overarching because of what I taught you before about hard cover, and you may be just doing that out of habit now, which is still a good habit, by the way. But now we're gonna go one more level ahead. Yeah, so we're gonna have hard cover, and we're gonna have maintaining distance. I did this in a VOD with Brooke the other day. She did support, but this applies to every hero in the game. So like, if you ever chased a bird as a kid because they're really cute and you always wanna hopefully touch it, but it's not gonna let you. Yeah, once you go into the invisible outer ring of like the bird's safety, bird's smart, it'll actually fly away. Yeah. Yep. Now you're gonna start doing that. All right. So you have hard cover. That's level 1. Okay. As like especially as someone who's playing DPS. Now level 2 is you're gonna implement that at the same time. So you're gonna now implement this safety distance. The second someone's here, you have to rotate or back out. And as you're backing out, you're also not going, because remember when you chase those birds, they don't fly away immediately either. They just hop a bit more as if maintaining that perfect distance away from you. You're gonna do that. So that way, even when you're moving or rotating, you're gonna put pressure into the opponent. So let's say if Zarya starts walking in, on her way to the point, as you're moving to the next hard cover that still maintains your effective range, she's going to still be blasted by you. There's only like one time they shouldn't be taking pressure from you as a DPS, and that's when you're reloading. Okay? So and this is kind of why it's so important that like, since you're like using that healing station, for example, that's awkward because that means you're not going to have it for a duel. This is one of the abilities that gets wasted unnecessarily for most players. It's very common. I did that. I used to do that as well. So like at this point, really difficult. Your target priority also sort of dipped there because it went automatically towards other targets, and that Zarya shouldn't be able to get you because you have legs and she don't. She got thick legs. You got fast legs.
Yeah.
This is a good example. Thank you, Brooke. Can't wait for your Ana VOD, by the way. It'll be really pog.
Just gotta be more like Brooke.
All right. And it also adds on to the idea of pressure. When we did that like practice session we had the other day, like with just you and me, you noticed that like the amount of pressure that you put onto your opponent or at least I was trying to put onto you out of practice, oh dear, you're lagging or something, was like quite high. And part of that is because of like how long and how often you have impact as a player. And like just by doing those things, your opponent may not fully understand it at the time, but that's they'll feel the pressure for sure. You just get more value all the time. You see like how it's like really difficult for you to directly slow down the opponent because you're playing soldier, you know? And as like Ryan's are, that essentially assumes that like minimum under perfect abnormal scenarios, right? So like with the double valve, that's like 4 seconds individually, but they don't even take pressure. Then there's the actual bulk, you know, their shields, HP, and their DPS as well, right? So like if you think about the fact that you can't even get past this 4 seconds as they engage, and then you realize your pressure's only going to come in against this, not even at them yet. It's not going to work yet. That makes soldier like look really awkward, yeah? So what you have to do instead, other than that off angle, is you have to keep your uptime of pressure higher as well. And that's sort of not happening because of your target selection. Because like there were times where I know you want to aim at that Hanzo and you did like a mini duel, yeah? But that's kind of what he wants you to do.
Okay.
Whenever possible, we want to get you to a stage where the threat, right? You're going to handle them out of convenience.
Okay.
Right? And I'm not even joking about this. They're like, can like even get you like some custom VODs or something at some point where like, so let's say the threat's like a tracer, yeah? You will always be doing your main job, pressure onto the opponent all the time, and only at the last second when the TT, like, because you know the tracer's TTK, even when she starts attacking, you're not going to straight up turn at her, because a good tracer is going to time her initial engage on you to get your attention when your team's going to push in, for example. You know? So if you pay attention to her immediately, that's bad too. Right? That's even true, though, so you don't want to give her that. She's going to be, these flankers are going to be so needy, you're going to ignore her, and you're going to give them exactly what they need, and that's a dink to the head into respawn, but only like while you're doing your job, out of convenience. Like out of 6 shots of McCree, you do like 2. Flick, handle, 1 flashbang, but even while you're dueling her, don't fully pay attention to her, just keep doing your job, and then back. That's the stage we're trying to get you at. You want to minimize, and even if you end up losing the duel to the flanker, whatever, at least that during that entire time, you put pressure on both the flanker, wasted resources, and did your job at the same time. So much more value. Dead. You're also maintaining, what you'll also notice is that because you're not a burst fire anymore, you do have to maintain how long you are in LOS, and you don't remember, you don't even have to use the full clip, right? Yes. You only need to get as many shots in that have value, so that would be into the squishy to attempt to kill, and if you, after like 10 shots, you feel like you can't, out of LOS, try again, let the spread reset.
It's a simple combo, what's a dragon?
Yeah, that's simple combo, it's unfortunate.
I think this happened a couple more times on the high ground here.
That's fair. You can't wait. You have a replay code for me? Awesome. You want to give it when you're solo queuing? That's even better. Solo queue VODs get so much more value, in my opinion. Because like the reality is when you're with anyone, even if you don't really care about them, you're going to adjust your behavior. That's just how it is. And that affects your judgment. I want to see your raw judgment, your personal raw judgment. Okay, some optimization tech. First of all, you use your visor on the way out of cover. Not at, and not completely out, okay? Next, you can animation cancel your E if you have to, if you feel that you're going to take damage, but maybe you're not, so whatever. But it would suck if you like take an arrow in between your visor and you have to drop that in between. You're going to waste time firing. Another thing worth doing on the side, let me try to remember, your rocket, right? It works much better now compared to in the past, so that's worth throwing out. And towards the end, hopefully in this last tick, do an extra reload. So when the visor ends, you have a full clip. And you don't have to reload. Because of that faster reload anyway. Like, you see like how like when the visor ends, you have to reload and that wastes more time. Imagine if you had another clip full. We are heading towards the end of this session now. So we're going to cover a little bit more and then we'll stop there. And I'll put the free things for you to work on, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so you see how like you're just covering this distance unconsciously, but it doesn't actually benefit you, right? Because if nothing else, it makes it easy for him to hit because your hitbox is getting larger and larger.
Yeah.
And like you don't have you have less and less hard cover as you walk up to him. I understand to a lot of people that technically covering distance causes pressure, yeah, but in reality is the biggest thing that causes pressure for most players is losing HP. So you peeking out and realizing there's a pattern to it, because this guy's not jumping, right? So in other words, he's gonna peek left and right instead. Having your CS:GO crosshair like placement from history, from your experience, just abuse that. Use your own lion, and like yes, go for a rocket. If you are going to cover this distance at all, start abusing what's special about Soldier. So Hanzo has two main arrow shots they try to throw out against a squishy, yeah? So one's the full charge, if they're like lazy and they don't play Hanzo enough, and one's like about the 3/4 mark. The reason why is because at this, somewhere around here, it will do 200 damage, period. Yep.
Yeah.
So what you're gonna do is you're gonna start learning this strafe. You're gonna do a long strafe, or you're gonna do a planned strafe, which is like literally like the Kabaji shit that you see. So a long strafe means like in between your shots, like so you do a burst fire and you're gonna do this strafe, and when you move left or right, this alternation, it's gonna follow one of these two timings, which you can learn either by hearing your opposing Hanzo or like getting a custom game and assuming from when you saw the last arrow being shot. The other one is to like on the way to him, noticing either of these, walk up, and you've seen me do this in like the exercise training I did with you the other day. You're gonna run, shoot, and then because you know the timing, it's coming in, sudden strafe left with shift.
Yes.
Okay. Like sudden strafe right, and then you're going to once again flick back to the right, face him, shoot, continue, same, and repeat this.
Okay.
And at higher levels, you will know people will start picking up that you're doing this on purpose, and then you're gonna do what's called a mix-up. And this is like known in fighting games, where like everyone knows the general pattern, but you deliberately don't do it just to mess with them.
Yes.
Yeah, we're getting to bigger concepts that I wanted to get to for a while now. You're going places, Muddy. This is exciting.
I've done that I have actually done that subconsciously in this game. I think that was due to the fact that I started realizing that I think I told you this before with the 10-second thing that I was doing, where every 10 seconds I remind myself on like key points that I need to work on.
Yes.
So I turned that back on, and it was such a drastic improvement. It's like you're saying what I need to do, and then I'm just doing it at the end of this game. I guess I just need to work on a lot more advanced stuff now.
Yeah, it's great, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so first things first to start learning, right? Just at level 2, you're gonna have distance management on top of your hard cover. That's the first thing. Next up in between, right? So this is more macro concepts as well on the side for you. You're going to start like especially, so there's phases, right, per map. More noticeable on like payloads and that sort of thing, because this is this whole whatever. So in between, right, you're gonna start learning how to not scout. I guess scouting is an okay word for it. So like scout or like clear, like SWAT teams, so that you know whether people are past, and if not, now realize that you gotta watch them. Yep. Scouts here for like flanks, or if you're like if you're a frontliner, and if you're a flanker, then also you gotta scout and clear, but differently, because you got your opponent's information, not your side's information. And finally, what is important next for you? Remembering reload timing. Okay, a little more practice on like. Oh wait, no. Actually, I want to put this up to number 2. Okay. Which for you will be. What was it? Yeah. So this is the practice part. So like all these concepts are like really good, but they don't matter if you can only maintain them for short periods of time. So you're going to start practice this this loop, okay, mental loop of these things above, and time yourself. How long can you keep it up per game? Because here's the reality, right? Like most people's attention span is about 15 minutes for something intense, and that's normal. So that's you're gonna start doing this stuff really well, and you're gonna start having a difficulty maintaining it deliberately for more than like even 5 minutes, and you're gonna push yourself to 10, you're gonna push yourself to 15, and then make sure you take breaks. It is very, very, very important that people do not like blast themselves off the side of a planet by going like hours straight trying to do everything. No, consistent practice a day for like burst periods, that's good enough. And then push, record, see how much you improve.
Alright, so probably a mental loop of this practice.
Okay. Well, super nice. Yep, you were saying? Sorry, I'm rushing slightly because I know my folks are waiting, not because I want to.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
So you were saying, so that goes to number 2, right? We don't have a number 3, so that's just number 3.
Yeah. So phases becomes number 3.
Okay.
Because like you want to add stuff to your loop as you get better at maintaining them, and technically phases is already a new thing on top of a level 2 thing.
Yes.
Because right now you're still learning to keep the level 1, and it's okay. That just takes time.
Yeah. The level 1 stuff. I guess I just need more confidence with my own judgments, because sometimes I rely too much on my aim to win out fights, and I disregard my judgment, and that's bad. I need to listen to my judgment.
You gotta trust yourself.
Subconsciously think about my aim.
Yes.
Or my mechanical stuff.
Yes. The aim will be extra because it's similar to how I always joke about telling people like the SR is the easy part, getting good is hard, right? So aim will come over time, period, no matter what you do. And we'll have in that masterclass I'll show you how to like accelerate it, but it never should be the only focus. It's just on the side. It's almost like saying a boxer should gain more weight all the time rather than building their technique. Their technique is way more important.
Yeah. Grandfather was a pro boxer.
Pog champion, dude. It's in the blood.
It is.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you for this Sakisa. This was great. I learned a lot today.
I'm glad.
And it was great to improve on what I did before. So yeah, next time dude. I will be proving myself as a pro.
Sounds good to me.
The stuff that you taught me today.
I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait to see it. Now, I'm going to go for lunch. There is a team Vod I'll be doing after this for the peeps that are waiting in the stream for their turn. Any questions, throw it into the Discord, in the Discord link that will show up on a Be Right Back screen or ! Discord. And I will see you all very soon. Peace.
Yeah. Yay. Oh.
Hey, Sucky. Oh, Suck.
Noxy, good luck.
No, hang on. I just want to. Just wait. Wait.
Boy, that's Biggie.
Oh, twin stream. Who just left?